As you enter into the room, make sure to hit that like button, ladies and gentlemen. It is a wonderful day being a Steeler fan, and we haven't even played yet. How about them Cowboys? Love it. I know one particular Cowboy fan is not doing too good. And you know what? UncClaude is here for you all. If you are a Dallas Cowboy fan, this is a safe place for you. Because UncClaude cares. He really does. If you feel like, wow, you know what? My owner's a piece of crap. My quarterback is garbage. This team is still showing Emmitt Smith, Troy Aikman, Michael Irvin highlights. You know, I feel your pain. I feel so bad for you guys. Can't you tell how sincere I am? Oh, you cowgirls. You know what, you guys. The Dallas Cowboy fan base is the most delusional fan base in all of pro sports. And that's saying a lot. Because I live in New York City. And it's hard to have a more delusional fan base than the New York Knicks fan base, who thinks that, oh, you know, if they make the playoffs, oh, we can win a championship. Knicks have been a joke franchise for years upon years upon years. Oh, my brother. Third Ward, Columbia. Oh, yes. Listen. That was Third Ward, brother. I might have to drop the link for you, man. It is, and I understand that you're from Houston. It's a little, so it hits y'all a little different. And I get it. I tell you what, old C.J. Stroud carved up old Joe Flacco. Salute to y'all. And I knew that y'all were the real deal the way y'all carved us up in the regular season. Well, aren't you glad you dodged that Bryce Young bullet? Because C.J. Stroud is the real deal. Y'all look great. Man, them Cowgirls. Dak Prescott. And I always kept saying he's a terrible quarterback. He is a terrible quarterback. Yep. And listen, if people don't watch it, he will be representing the AFC in the Super Bowl. And I'm gonna be honest, I've been a C.J. Stroud fan when he was in Ohio State, when he almost beat Bama. He's no joke. I like the way he carries himself. That's a humble young man. He's a smart young man. I don't think he gets enough credit for it. But then again, none of our people ever get credit for that. But this C.J. Stroud is different. He's better than any other Ohio State quarterback I've ever seen on the pro level, and that includes the late, great Dwayne Haskins. He's better than J.T. Barrett. He's better than Troy Smith. This kid throws lasers. He knows when to tuck and run. He knows how to read defenses. I am a huge C.J. Stroud fan, and I'm not first guessing that because I wanted him. I didn't want the Steelers to get Pickett myself. I figured why pick a quarterback? None of these guys were first round grades anyway. But it is what it is. And here my computer's acting funny yet again. Please bear with me, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, man. Here we go. Yeah, and I actually did too. But this is what happens. That's a Cowboy staple. We know that no one folds quicker than the Dallas Cowboys. No team. And see, it is easy for everybody to blame, oh, Mike McCarthy, you didn't get these guys ready to play. First of all, if you have to get ready to play as a professional football player and you're in the playoffs and you were gifted the second seed, then that's not a coaching problem, that's a you problem. And I understand that Mike McCarthy's not a great coach. I get it. And listen, Dak Prescott is always going to be garbage. He is just not an accurate quarterback. He's a company Negro. That is the link. You are more than welcome to hit it. And it's open to all, whether you are a Cowboy fan or not. Well, this is what they do. This is who they are. Listen, ever since 1995, when my sorry-ass quarterback Neil O'Donnell gifted the Cowboys their third Super Bowl, this is who the Cowboys have been. Ever since Jimmy Johnson left that sorry franchise, you got it. You got it. This is who the Cowboys have been. And you know what the crazy part is? When you think about it, it doesn't matter who the coach of the Dallas Cowboys has been. It doesn't matter whether it's been Barry Switzer. It doesn't matter whether it's been Chan Gailey, Wade Phillips. Even a Hall of Fame coach like Bill Parcells couldn't get the Cowboys to the promised land. And it all starts at the very top. And it starts with Jerry Jones. You know, it's been said that Jerry Jones was just as mad last night at watching his Cowgirls lose as he was when they integrated his school. I mean, that's just what was said. Allegedly. But it starts with him because, see, Jerry Jones, he's not satisfied enough to be just the owner of the Dallas Cowboys. He's got to be the meddler. He's got to be the GM. He's got to be the coach. I tell you what, if Jerry Jones could, he'd get away with being one of the cheerleaders. Jerry Jones has to hog up everything. He has to micromanage everything when it comes to this franchise. He just has to do that. He has to have total control of everything. He pushed Parcells out the door when he forced Terrell Owens down his throat. And I know that's before a lot of you guys' times. But the crazy thing is, it was Bill Parcells who set the table for the Cowboys' success in the late 90s and early 2000s. Because he's the one who drafted the three cornerstones of the Cowboy franchise at that time. He drafted Tony Romo, Jason Witten, and one DeMarcus Ware. So it was Bill Parcells who set the table for those choker teams. And I believe if Jerry Jones hadn't have messed up and meddled his way in, that maybe they would have gotten the championship. But see, he can't get out of his own way. And then you have Dak Prescott. Now, it has been very funny to watch how the Cowboys have transitioned to, remember, this was Ezekiel Elliott's team about 3 or 4 years ago when this sorry lack of a championship ride started. Because remember, ladies and gentlemen, everything was Ezekiel Elliott left, Ezekiel Elliott up the middle, Ezekiel Elliott to the right, play action with Dak. We're going to keep Dez Bryant some mouth shut and throw the ball to him a couple of times. And if not, we'll throw it to Jason Witten. And away we go. Now, the Cowboys have gone full circle from we're going to be a run-first, run-heavy offense and sprinkle in some of Dak to we're putting it all on Dak's shoulders. Because even last year, Tony Pollard ran for well over 1,100 yards, and he wasn't even the first option until about week 5. Now, Tony Pollard was not the same player this particular season when he became the bell cow, so to speak. He ran for 1,000 yards, yes, but it was an ugly 1,000 yards. He only averaged about 3.5 yards a carry. He was not very good. And that ballyhooed Cowboy offensive line was pretty overrated as well. Now, it was pretty good in pass protection. But you can see the cracks coming into that. Tyron Smith is not the same left tackle that he was 5 or 6 years ago, where you can make the case that he was the best in the business. Now, Zach Martin is still a wonderful player, but he's not the same player that he was either. Now, the other Smith was very good, but they're injury prone as well. And I tell you what, Dak Prescott is just as inaccurate, and I hate to say it, Mitch Trubisky is inaccurate. Man, Dak Prescott is just as bad. Now, it's a little different because Dak was at least a 4th-round draft pick. affairs, my brother. Yes, brother, Third Ward. How you doing, my brother? How you feeling today?
Hey, what's going on, UncClaude, bro? What's going on?
Oh, I'm just enjoying this. You know what? The crazy part is, even as a Steeler fan, even if we lose, and I don't think we will, I actually believe that it is set up for us to win this game in Buffalo. I mean, my season's already great. I would have to hear about cheating Tom Brady. There's no Bill Belichick, and the Cowboys got smoked.
Well, I mean, I'm actually picking your Steelers to upset the Bills, but there's only one way your Steelers can win this game against the Bills. I think if they do win this game, they're going to win because a lot of great Steelers teams, that didn't have Big Ben. They win, low scoring, long, drawn out, like defensive type games. And I think that's the way y'all can beat the Bills. If you try to get into a shootout with the Bills, then I think y'all will lose this game. But if y'all can, keep it like low scoring, gritty, grimy defensive game, I think that favors y'all. You know what I'm saying? And, the weather really doesn't matter, because both of y'all play in, cold cities, cold states. So I think that doesn't really matter. But I'm actually picking the Steelers to win. If y'all had like a real thorough quarterback, I would feel better about picking them. But I'm going to stick with my pick and pick the Steelers. But as far as the Cowboys is concerned, you're right. They are the most obnoxious group of fans that I've ever known, and it's definitely some it's some obnoxious fans out there. You got the Cowboys, the Lakers, the Yankees. But I think the Cowboys
Well,
take the cake by a long shot.
but go ahead.
Yeah. I think the Cowboys take it by a long shot. But I mean, I love when the Cowboys have a great regular season because it gives delusional Cowboys fans hopes that oh, this our year. They say the same thing every year. And look, I work I work at a hospital, right? And I work with nothing but Cowboy fans. I can't get away from them motherfuckers. I can't, like, they all over the place, right? And all I hear is the same thing every year. Oh, man, this our year, man. We going to win it all this year, man. We them boys. We them boys. And that's all I ever hear them say. And then as soon as they lose, whether it be the first round or the second round, as soon as like they lose, the one thing I can't stand about Cowboy fans, when they lose, you can't find them anywhere. You don't see them. You can't find them. But as soon as they win, even if it's against a mediocre team, they talk mad shit all in your face and all that. You know what I'm saying? But as soon as they lose, you can't find them nowhere. It's like a ghost town. So I love it when the Cowboys have a great regular season because it just give these delusional Cowboy fans hope that, oh, man, we're going to take it to the house. We're going to win it all this shit. And I'm like, nah, bro. It's just, once again, the Cowboys doing Cowboy things. They gas y'all up. They get your hopes up. And then when the rubber meets the road, they fold every time. They crumble every time. And it's just I just love it, man. It's very hilarious to me, and it just melts my heart. And then also I would say, yeah, Mike McCarthy. I think he he needs to be out of there. And Dak, I think maybe they try to run it back with Dak maybe one more year. Now, if I can get off of him this year, cool. But I think they're probably gonna try to run it back with him like next year. And then if it doesn't work out next year, which it probably won't, more than likely, I think then they have to consider like drafting a quarterback or trading for one because it's just y'all Super Bowl window and opportunity is fading away with each season that's failed. So I mean what's crazy is everybody was going in on the Eagles because they've had a down year this year, even though they still in the playoffs. But what'd be funny is if the Eagles actually made it to the second round. And the Cowboys who won the division because the Eagles lost those last 5 games, if they make it to the second round. And then also, like you said, man, shout out to my Texans, which originally I'm an Oilers fan, but we're officially the Texans now since they moved to Tennessee. The Oilers did became the Titans, but I'm a Texas fan by default. But yeah, I'm so glad we chose Stroud over Bryce because Bryce, I'm sorry, he just don't. I don't think he has it. I'm not saying he's the worst player in the NFL. I just don't think he's the number one pick like they picked him to be. So I don't think he's going to be that guy. But CJ, man, CJ, he's been a beast ever since he was in college. But he's definitely like taking another step and a whole nother level. Like he like you said, he knows how to read the defense, and for a rookie. Most rookie quarterbacks, it takes them a while to be able to, because reading a college defense and reading an NFL defense, that's two different things. You know what I'm saying? And so for him to be coming in the first year and be able to tell what defenses are doing, off the rip, and come in and just not only change, the culture in Houston as far as with him and the coach Nico Ryans, and for them to change the culture and for them to just come in and just kind of just start winning games like that, man, that's amazing, because it ain't too many rookie head coaches and quarterbacks that can just come in and just take over, especially year number one. And man, I mean, the way CJ played, you would think he'd been in the league like 10 years, man. That's how he played. He played like a 10-year vet. And I'm just like, man, so hopefully, I'm hoping this is not just a one-off year. I'm hoping this is a sign of, great years to come. I'm hoping that this could be a wonderful marriage between him and Nico for like the next 10 years or so. I'm hoping that that we get something out of this. Now I will say we shouldn't even be in this position right now. You know what I'm saying? Nobody expected, just like the Packers, nobody expected the Packers or the Texans to be this far in this position. Hell, a lot of people didn't even expect them to make the playoffs. And the fact that we here and we won our first game and won against two teams that were considered great teams, like, you know what I'm saying? And even I had my doubts about the Texans winning that game, even though we played at home. I had because Cleveland had the best defense in the league all year. Now, of course, Joe Flacco ended up doing Joe Flacco things. You know what I'm saying? Even though he had a nice little run at the end of the regular season, but I respect Cleveland's defense. Their defense is top tier. But once again, man, CJ just picked that defense apart like it was nothing, and it just goes to show you, man. Man, that's the one thing I love about football, man. A great quarterback. As long as you have a great quarterback, man, a great quarterback can pick apart a great defense. You know what I'm saying? And it just, CJ showed that. Jordan Love, I like what I'm seeing from him so far. I'm not going to, I think he has the potential to be great. I'm not going to say he's great just yet, because, he had a rough first start of the season. The first half of the season, he really wasn't balling out like that. It wasn't until maybe the last 3-4 months of the season he just started balling like crazy. But I want to see next year, like from the beginning, can he kind of do the same thing he's been doing the last half month or last 4 months of the regular season up until this playoff game the other day. I want to see if he can do that like for a full season, because CJ came in from game one balling. I think CJ probably had like 1 or 2 bad games, and I think he even missed a couple games too, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, but I think Jordan Love and the Packers have a bright future, and I don't know what it is about Green Bay, but they sure know how to pick their quarterbacks, man. They always, from Brett to Aaron to now this kid looking like he might be the next, Aaron Rodgers or at least the predecessor to him. So I don't know, man. But Green Bay, man, they have a really consistent culture and tradition of knowing how to pick quarterbacks. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, man, I like this football season so far, man. There's been some great football being played. Detroit Rams game, that was a good game. It came down to the wire. That was a good game. I'm happy Jared Goff got that win. I think he definitely needed that for his confidence, because he got shipped out the door for Stafford. And honestly, I'm gonna just be honest. I feel like that Super Bowl that the Rams won a few years back, I feel like that was like a fluke Super Bowl, because I just feel like they had one good, they had a good run in the playoffs that led them to the Super Bowl. But honestly, I just don't see that team being that good like that again. And they even had a good season this year, because I don't think nobody expected the Rams to make it this far. I know I sure as hell didn't. But shout out to Sean McVay, he's a great coach. But I don't know. I just think that Super Bowl that they won was kind of like a one-all or fluke type of Super Bowl. But hey, they won it, so I guess I give them credit for that.
I was glad that they won that Super Bowl because they knocked Brady out.
Yeah,
anytime you get rid of Tom Brady, that's a win for the entire NFL. And I think also that helps this year's playoffs. That again, no cheating Tom, no Bill Belichick, and now no Dallas Cowboys is a win for the NFL, as far as I'm concerned.
Well, let me say this.
Okay.
Oh, my bad. You got it. My bad. Not to cut you off.
No, I'm cool.
No, I'm about to say, and I know you don't care for Brady. I know you know, and I get the whole cheat thing. You cheat, but I'm gonna say this. In all fairness to Brady, what I find hilarious is that so Bill and I felt like this too. I felt like Brady was the reason why that New England dynasty won the majority of those chips, and I feel like Belichick was part of it, but I don't think because they tried to give Belichick all the credit and say his defensive mind, genius defensive mind, but I'm like, when you had Drew in there before him, yeah, y'all was a good regular season team, and y'all made it to the playoffs, but y'all never could get over that hump. When y'all put Tom in, that's when the dynasty began. That's when y'all start taking off and in the right direction. You know what I'm saying? And so for him to try to ship Brady out for Garoppolo, and then we all know Brady went above him to Kraft, and got Garoppolo out of San Francisco, and then for Brady to leave and then go to Tampa the first year and win a Super Bowl, and Bill ain't never won one since, and he can't even make the playoffs. Like he's struggling. And it just kind of just shows that, man, Brady was the engine to that dynasty, to that offer. It wasn't Bill. I know Bill. I'm not saying Bill didn't have any type of credit that he deserves for those chips, but I mean, come on, bro. Like without Brady, man, what would Bill Belichick? Because let's keep it a buck. If you look at Belichick before he got to the Patriots, when he was with Cleveland, he wasn't that great of a coach. I think he was below 500 when he was coaching back in the day for Cleveland for the Browns.
Oh, I don't mean to cut you off here, but I have
Yeah,
to, man.
yeah, yeah,
I was one of the very first that was saying that because I
yeah.
remember him with Cleveland and he wasn't shit. First off, the real guy is Bill Parcells. Because without Bill Parcells, nobody would know who Bill Belichick was.
These are facts. These are facts. These are facts.
Because it was Bill Parcells that put Belichick in a position to become a head coach. Because we all know, as a pure defensive coordinator, he and Buddy Ryan are the two greatest defensive coordinators to have ever stepped foot on an NFL field. That part you cannot take from Belichick. But I have to be fair, you are 200% right. Brady was 75% and Belichick was 25% if I had to divvy it up. Because without Tom Brady, we see what's going on. And that is why, and I have to put my coach into this. That is why, and there's a few Steeler fans that are obnoxious too. And then, to me, they're not Steeler fans. You cannot be a Pittsburgh Steeler fan and talk about fire Mike Tomlin when you have, in my mind, the best coach in all of pro football. There is no team would have won 10 games with this talent that Mike Tomlin has, and he won the game without T.J. Watt. And I tell you what, he wins today this game without T.J. Watt and wins convincingly. I don't want to hear any Pittsburgh Steelers fan talk anything about how Mike Tomlin should be fired and he did all this with Bill Cowher's players. The same Bill Cowher who went 2-4 in AFC Championship games, including 4 in a row at home.
Absolutely. Y'all. So the game is still, because I know Buffalo had that bad snowstorm, so they still having it today.
Yeah, they're having it at 4:30.
Okay. What station is going to be on?
It's going to be on CBS.
CBS. Okay. Perfect.
And I agree with you, by the way. When you listen, the Steelers, if they're going to win this game, they have to make it. It's going to be old school Steeler football.
Yep.
And listen, I know I'm telling my age with this, but I remember when it was Franco Harris, then play action, and we're going to go deep to Lynn Swan, who's the real. But that's another story. We won't get into that.
I actually think your Steelers have a really decent team, and I think they have some young guys. They have a lot of potential. I just think the Steelers kind of remind me of the Patriots in the sense that, as you can see, with the NFL changing, Bill didn't want to change with the NFL. He wanted to play the same type of way. And that worked during that time period with him and Brady. But like I said, now that you no longer have Brady there to spearhead that offense, and now that and also give credit to those first 2 championships the Patriots won, where they had all those guys that Hall of Fame defenders and stuff like that. Now that these guys are gone, and now that Brady's gone, Bill has to, Bill pretty much got his own way. He won and had too much success with New England. So by the time Brady left, Bill thought, okay, well, it's my system, so my system's going to beat everybody. But nowadays we live in, the way the NFL is now, it's very offensive minded, offensive, present. And if you don't have a quarterback or you don't have nobody that can put points on the board, you're not going to win. You're not going to win championships. You might win a few regular season games here and there, but you're not going to win a playoff game. You're not going to win no championships. And then look at prime example is all of the coaches that got fired or let go were defensive minded coaches. Vrabel, Belichick, Staley. Who else? I know I'm missing a few more. Like I know I'm probably missing them, but those are like the main guys right there, and they're all defensive coaches. So I think what you're starting to see is I think the era of the defensive minded head coach. I think that's coming to an end, and I think now you're going to see more offensive minded head coaches because the league is so offensive heavy now. It's pass heavy, so you're going to see it. I mean, when you got quarterbacks like Patty Mahomes, Herbert, Josh Allen, all these guys who are offensive guys and guys who like to throw the ball down the field, I think, you're going to start seeing more franchise, more teams hiring offensive minded coaches to go with their offensive minded quarterbacks. So I think the era of the defensive coach, you might still have a few in the league. They have a few jobs like Tomlin will probably be one. Belichick, if he decides to come back and coach, which I'm pretty sure he will. I think they'll kind of be like the last of the dying breed. They'll kind of be like dinosaurs when it comes to defensive minded head coach. I think the defensive minded head coaches that you see, I think they're going to probably go back to being coordinators, or maybe they have some other job or in the franchise or something. But I think the days of a bunch of coaches just being defensive minded and getting hired as head coaches, I think that's a thing of the past now. Like I said, I think Bill Belichick will get another job. I think Bray was a good coach. I think he'll get another job. I think Pete will get another job. Pete Carroll. Staley, I don't think he'll never get another job as a head coach. I think Staley should have never been a coach. He should have just stayed a coordinator. But I think overall, most of all, him, like I said, not Staley, Belichick, Vrabel, Pete, and Tomlin will probably be your last four defensive-minded head coaches that you'll probably see still have a head coaching job. Everybody else that you're going to see in the league that are head coaches, they're going to be offensive-minded guys. I think we're past that era of the defensive-minded head coach. You can tell me if you agree with me on that or not.
First off, hey, Jay Truth, how you doing this morning? Thank you for joining us. And I do believe you are right to an extent. And I tell you what, I don't think Dan Quinn's getting the coaching job after that performance yesterday for the Cowboys.
Well, they were saying, I'm hearing rumors. Right. No, my bad. I was just saying, I'm hearing rumors that the Seahawks may hire Dan Quinn. That the Seahawks may hire Dan Quinn, but I don't think that would be the move for Seattle. But he has a connection to the Seahawks, so that kind of makes sense in that sense. But I just don't think it's a good fit for them. Period. Overall, as a whole.
Man, he didn't make it in Atlanta. You're gonna take him back in Seattle, especially he's gonna work with Pete Carroll, who they pushed upstairs. I don't think that's gonna work. I think that would be the biggest mistake that could happen if the Seahawks do that. But I definitely agree with you again as far as the you'll see more offensive minded coaches. The Queen and the mother-in-law are doing okay. Thank you for asking.
Hey, how you doing, Jay Truth? How you doing? But let me say this, and you can tell me if you agree with me on this. I think Sean Payton got too impatient. I think Sean Payton should have waited an extra year to go coach the Chargers with Herbert. I'm not even a Herbert fan like most people are, but I just think you would have paired Sean Payton with Justin Herbert. I think that would have been a perfect marriage for the two because they both, are offensive-minded guys. And I think, they could have done, Sean Payton could have came in there. He would have really opened up the playbook for Herbert to do all this, all this, fantastic things. You know what I'm saying? I think he kind of rushed for that Denver job. I think he kind of rushed into that job. I think he should have waited an extra year, and he probably could have been the coach right now for the Chargers.
I agree with that, and I don't like the way he treated Russell Wilson. And listen, it's hard to feel bad for Russell Wilson, but the way he got treated was ridiculous. And the crazy part was he did this while they were actually winning. I mean, because they started out really slow, and then they got hot. It looked like they were going to make a playoff run, and then Sean Payton showed his fanny. And listen, this is all about money. It was sad, and I understand that Denver overpaid for Russell Wilson, but listen, that's what happens with these quarterbacks. And let's face it, John Elway has done a terrible job in drafting quarterbacks, or else they wouldn't have had to go for Russell Wilson. So this is what happens when you go wrong.
Yeah. At the time, Russell was the best option that they had for a quarterback, especially considering what he did, in passing in Seattle. So they went off of that, but unfortunately, they don't have the pieces for Russell to be great in Denver. A lot of those players on Denver. I mean, I don't think that they're the worst team in the league, but they're definitely not. Like the Chargers have more, and that's why I don't understand why. Well, Brandon Staley is a dumbass. Let's just be honest about that. But with all the talent the Chargers have on offense and even on defense, ain't no way in hell they shouldn't have made the playoffs this year. But it just goes to show you, man, if you have a bad coach, man, a bad coach can mess up a great thing. You know what I'm saying? But I think I don't know who would you want to, like, if you could pick any coach to be their coach, who would you say? Would it be Vrabel? Would it be? I think Pete. You think Pete would be a good fit for the Chargers and Herbert?
I don't know. I will say one thing. Could you imagine if Mike Tomlin had Justin Herbert at quarterback for the Steelers?
Oh yeah, man. Y'all be in the mix every year for a championship.
We would win probably at least 2 more. I would just say that.
Yeah.
Especially with the defense that we have right now. You see, here's the thing with Tomlin. He's never had a chance to rebuild because we know if Mike Tomlin's first losing season would be his last losing season with the Steelers, they would get rid of him. Because the Steeler fan base, let's face it, a lot of the fan base is prejudiced and don't want Tomlin there. I'm calling it the way I see it. See, even though I am a Steeler fan, I'm an objective Steeler fan.
And you know what? That's what you know what? Let me say this. We was talking about the Cowboys earlier or whatever. My whole lifetime, I've probably only met a handful of objective Cowboy fans because most of them, like you said, they're hella delusional and they drink the Kool-Aid every year and they get their hopes up and then they get their hearts broken when playoff time comes every year or when they just miss out on the playoffs altogether. But I've actually met a few, and that's what I like. If you're an objective fan of your team and you don't overpraise your team or overhype your team just because they're your team, I can respect that. You know what I'm saying? Like, hell, if somebody would have asked me if I thought my Texans would have made, I'd be like, nah, not with a rookie head coach and a rookie quarterback. Maybe, next year or the year after that, that would have been my answer. Now, it just so happened that, things panned out for us. CJ was the right pick, and our rookie head coach. He's a great coach. He's a leader of men, and things worked out. And also the fact that Jacksonville dropped their last 4 or 5 games at the regular season, that kind of helped us out too because once they lost.
I'm sorry.
Yeah. You know what? I thought
a long time. You first guessed that. You and I was sort of with you, but you went full throttle. You were the first one who said he was overrated. That really went in. You were the very first one. You were the only one that ended on that, sir. And I salute you for that.
He had one good season, which was last season when they came back in the playoffs. And remember, I think the Chargers was blowing them out in the first in the playoffs that game 1, and they came back. He came back, led his team. So I said, okay, you know what? I said, I know I've been hard on Trevor Lawrence, but I said, you know what? I'm gonna back off of him just a little bit, and hope we'll see. I'm like, hopefully he can pick up off of this, great comeback win that they shouldn't have won, and we'll see what he do next year. And this year he just was very abysmal. I think he had what 10 touchdowns. I forgot how many interceptions he had, but he didn't. I'm like, wow. I'm like, man, this dude didn't regress. Like I already never didn't think he was all that, but this year was probably his worst year. And I think what this is Trevor Lawrence. Is this his third year, fourth year, something like that? So I'm just like,
His
man,
third year.
yeah. So I'm like, man, ain't no how is it that a rookie quarterback and C.J. Stroud came in his first year playing at an MVP level and changing not only the way the team thinks and plays, but just changing the culture. And you got a third year quarterback. And the Jags are actually, if you look at them on paper, they actually have talent all over the place. They
They have a
have good
lot of
players,
things. They
you
have a
know.
lot of
Yeah, but it's just I don't know, man. Something is missing with Trevor Lawrence. I don't know what it is. Maybe he smelled himself too early because he came in and he won a championship and they praised him and stuff. So I don't know, man. But something's definitely missing with Trevor.
Yeah, but that was Deshaun Watson's team that he won a
Yeah,
championship with
yeah,
in Clemson too. And let us and I understand that Deshaun has had things happen, but let's be fair. When healthy, before he got hurt and before all the madness, Deshaun Watson was a top three quarterback.
these are facts.
Jackson was playing. See, people want to downplay that. Now, he was starting to get hot with Cleveland when he got hurt. Because
Yeah,
remember, he had to conform to their style of play. He had to learn how to run that offense. It was not a smooth transition, especially considering he missed 11 games last year. I'm still waiting for his conviction. Never happened. I mean, you talk
yeah.
about a witch hunt. That was an absolute witch hunt. The only worst thing that I saw than that was the Mike Tyson thing when you talk about a witch hunt. But that's another story. We
No,
won't
that's
get
true. But I will say this though: a lot of all the pressure is going to be on Deshaun next year, especially if he can stay healthy or full. He's going to because with him signing one of the biggest contracts in NFL history, and with it being the Browns, and then with Joe Flacco having that basically a great second half of the season and actually taking them to the playoffs. I think a lot of pressure is going to be on Deshaun. You know what I'm saying? Because if he doesn't deliver, I think if he doesn't, if they don't even get somewhere close to a championship, a conference game, then the Cleveland fans are going to be very they're going to be very irritable, and I think it's gonna be a big L for the franchise because you don't pay a guy that much money if you don't think that he can lead you to the promised land. You know what I'm saying? So a lot of pressure these next 2 to 3 years. A lot of pressure is going to be on Deshaun, and I hope he proves everybody wrong. But it's tough, man. When you when because these Cleveland Browns, they aren't the laughing stock of the league no more. They actually have a
no.
great team, you know, great defense. They got players on offense, and they
I didn't
have
see that great defense. Yes, I didn't see that great defense 2 days ago.
well. This is true, but I'm saying like overall, they had one of the best defense in the league in the regular season. It's just they folded a couple of days ago. But what I'm saying is they're no longer the laughing stick stock of the league no more. You know what I'm saying? So now that they have a quarterback and they actually have a good team, now that comes with expectations, and with expectations comes you having to deliver. So now there's no more excuses for Deshaun going forward, unless he get injured. But barring injury, man, he ain't got no excuses because he got paid all that money. So they want him to they want him to put up a shut up at this point now. So
And you're right about that. But here's the thing, and I'm glad that you brought up the Cleveland Browns. You know, being a Steeler fan, and they're going to get. I believe Myles Garrett won Defensive Player of the Year. I don't know how that happened. Now, T.J. Watt for the Steelers led the NFL in sacks, in pressures, even had a pick, but he doesn't win Defensive Player of the Year.
no, you definitely make a good case. Miles Garrett is great, but I think T.J. Watt is definitely because I think even if you take away Miles Garrett from their defense, I don't think they would be as good, but I still think they would be a pretty decent to good defense if you take him away. If you take TJ Watt away, that kind of destroys everything the Steelers want to do on defense. So I definitely
Well, the
agree
one
with
thing
you.
I want to come back with that is Highsmith is coming to his own, and Micah Fitzpatrick is going to cover up a lot of things on the back end. But TJ Watt is a wonderful player for the Steelers. He is not the heart and soul of that team. The heart and soul of that defense actually is Cam Hayward, but that's another story.
Yeah.
But,
Let me say.
I'm
Let me
sorry.
say this real quick. Going back to the Cowboys, you know what I think the Cowboys really messed up at? I think
Oh,
I,
I'm sorry.
they,
Before you start the Cowboys, I'm sorry. I have
oh,
to get this off my chest. I'm sorry.
okay, my bad.
And I'm glad that you brought them back into the mix.
Yeah.
It lets you know who the most overrated player in the NFL is. It's not Dak Prescott. It's not CeeDee Lamb. It is Micah Parsons. I don't want to hear any more about the great Micah Parsons, how he's supposed to be the next LT. Kiss my ass. LT never got blown out by 40 fucking points in the playoffs in his prime. He didn't get one pressure yesterday. Guys, he's supposed to take over that game. Where was he?
I agree.
I'm sorry, but
And to add to your point real quick before I make my point, you notice every time the Cowboys play, every time they play the 49ers, you notice Trenton Williams totally takes Micah out of the game completely. He just totally shuts him down every single time.
well, Trent Williams, to be fair, Trent Williams, you can make a case. He's been the best left tackle in pro football over the past decade.
No, I agree, but you know
He's amazing. He does not age. He might get hurt,
I agree.
but as far as his athleticism, he is incredible. I have never seen a guy. And you talk about a team with that Washington Redskin team. I don't care. They call them the Commanders. I don't give a shit. They're the Redskins. They did Trent Williams dirty, and look how he came back. I'm a Trent.
But the way, like you said, the way they praise Michael Parsons, you would think he's LT, even though we all know that he's not. But but that's what they do with all these Cowboy players. They overhype them, and then when they get exposed, now all of a sudden they don't keep that same energy for them no more that they had when they was praising them. But that's another story for another day. But what I will say is, I think what the Cowboys messed up at is I think they should have kept Amari Cooper. And the reason why I say that is because if you look at the great teams or the teams that have great offenses, they either have at least 2 or 3 good wide receivers or 2 good wide receivers and 1 good tight end. You know what I'm saying? Like, even though I know Cincinnati missed the cut this year, but with Cincinnati, was balling each and every year, they have T. Higgins, they have Jamar Chase.
For the year. That's why. That's part of the reason. And Burrow, of course. Jamar Chase with health is the best receiver.
Yeah, so most teams have at least 2 good receivers or 2 great receivers and maybe a good tight end. And I feel like if they still had Amari, do you know how much pressure that would put? Because CeeDee Lamb has definitely grown into his own. But at the end of the day, when the defenses know that all they got to do is key in on CeeDee Lamb and shut him down, then who you gonna go to? And then I don't care what nobody says. Tony Pollard is not an every down back. He's a decent back, but he's not an every down back. He's not a work. Yeah. So, and again, when you have 2 receivers, you have to pick your poison. You can't. Most times, you're not going to shut down both. One of them is going to get open. And I think if the Cowboys still had Amari Cooper, I think they would have more wiggle room and leverage on offense. But because CD's the main guy now. He's the one and only guy. And like I said, because Tony Pollard has been inconsistent all season, it's kind of easy now to kind of, exploit the offense of the Cowboys. This is why nobody really fears their offense anymore like that, because they're kind of really one-dimensional. Back, when they had Zeke, they were a little bit more two-dimensional because they would run it. They would mostly run it, and then like you said, they'd do the play action with that, and then you still had Amari too, who I'm saying at that time was a pretty top receiver. So I think they moved off of Amari too quick. I think they should have kept him. You would have had Amari on one side and CD on the other side. That puts a lot of pressure on the opposing defense.
So. Hey, Mr. Carruthers, how's everything? And you're right about that, but here's the thing. I think also Michael Gallup was supposed to step up, and he didn't. They were banking on that. Brandon Cooks actually did his job because he did take the top off of the defense. But I don't think they went to Brandon Cooks enough. That's just my opinion.
No, I agree.
Hey,
And let's be honest. Brandon Cooks has never been a tier 1 receiver. He falls more in that tier 2, tier 3 receiver. And for what you can get out of him, he'll give you some good games and he'll definitely be productive. But he's never going to be a number 1 receiver. You know what I'm saying? He's never been a number. Even when I think he used to play for my Texans. They tried to put him as a number 1 receiver, but it just didn't work out because he's not a number 1 receiver overall. But if you definitely give him that number 2 receiver slot, he'll definitely he'll make some magic happen. You just gotta catch him when you catch him. But and I agree, Michael Gallup, he's been a disappointment too as well. Like you said, everybody was overhyping him, and me personally, I don't think you resign Gallup. I think maybe you let him test the free agent market, and maybe you let him go. But I don't think he's worth the money that he thinks he's worth.
I agree with that. There's no question about that. But I think the bigger problem is as long as Dak is throwing the ball, it doesn't matter anyway because he's not accurate enough to take you to where you need to go. I don't think Dak Prescott is the guy. I mean, the Cowboys are going to pay him because it's almost cheaper to pay. But you know what? I think this might be an open competition. Trey Lance was a top 3 pick in the draft. Why not see what you have?
Yeah.
And he works for Prescott. And you save a few dollars.
Yeah. Even though I'm proud of CJ Stroud and I'm proud of my Texans because, like I said, who would have? No, I didn't expect nobody expecting them to come this far, just like they didn't with the Packers. But what I will say is, man, we got a tough one next week. We got to play against the Ravens, and boy, they've been looking good all season. And Lamar definitely took his game to a whole nother level. I don't want to hear nobody say he's not a real quarterback. He can't throw the ball. I don't want to hear that because this year he's done more for the pocket than anyone.
And no one has done more with less than Lamar Jackson has.
Agreed. Thank you.
Name 3 outside of Odell Beckham. Name 2 other receivers they have. Oh, and I see my man, Mr. Carruthers, is joining us. How are you doing, Mr. Carruthers, sir?
Hey, how you doing, man?
First of all, happy Martin Luther King birthday to you.
Happy Martin Luther King Day. And I'm sorry, I'm glad you brought that up. You know what the Martin Luther King that they taught us in school was the I have a dream and we're still dreaming Martin Luther King. The Martin Luther King in real life told them white folks, we need our reparations, cut the check. I'm sorry.
Yes, he did. Yeah. I'm like, hey, how about them cowgirls?
Hey, you know it, man. You know it.
And then we picked them too, though. Let's admit it, we picked them.
I did. I said it would be a close game, but I did pick the Cowboys. Absolutely.
Yeah, UncClaude has been a lot of fun with you with these football picks.
That was the only thing I missed, brother. So far, I'm 3-1.
I got a friend. His wife is a Green Bay Packer fan, and he's a Dallas fan. So they're over there fighting this morning.
Oh man, I wish I could be a fly on the wall to see that.
Somebody's on the couch.
Oh Lord!
I should have. I should have bet you some money, man. I would have took your money because I would have been like, okay, I'm picking the Packers, man. I should have bet you a couple dollars or something, man.
No, like I'm old enough to know better. On any given Sunday, anything could happen, and it was proven yesterday.
You know what the funny thing is? On 2 of these NFL picks, I actually got the score right. Kansas City 27, Miami 17.
Yeah.
That was the score. The Lions 24, LA Rams 23. That was the exact
You know
score.
what? That was an odd game. No, that game was really, I don't know what to say about that one.
Up and down, close battle. I just nudged off because they were at home.
The Miami boys can't handle that Midwest snowy weather.
Snow and ice.
They didn't want to be in that cold. They just wanted to go. And I tell you what, man, Tua's soft, man. Oh, he's soft.
Yeah, you know what?
He's softer than Kevin Durant. He's soft.
Let me be the first to say this. I tried for years to give Tua some grace, give him a pass. But after what I saw this season in that playoff game, I said, you know what, man? Yeah, I never was a Tua fan, but a lot of people gave him more hell than I thought he deserved. But I'm like, okay, you know what? I kind of see why. People giving him hell. Like, yeah, he's soft. You know what I'm saying? And I don't think Tua's the worst quarterback, but at the same time,
I don't think he won a championship.
Not the worst quarterback.
yeah, but you can't win a championship with him.
And that's that's why that brother got fired in Miami. Brian Flores was trying to tell people that.
Yeah,
that's why he was like because remember that owner tried to force Tua on him, and he was like, "Hell no, you take him." Okay.
Yeah, if I'm not mistaken, didn't Brian Flores originally want Herbert?
Yes.
Man, could you imagine? Could you imagine what their offense would look like with Herbert behind the center?
He wasn't wrong, right? Especially, listen, he can throw a deep ball.
You would have had Herbert throwing bombs to Tyreek Hill down the field, man.
You would have had the old San Diego Chargers back in the day.
Them Chargers.
But Mr. Carruthers with Dan Fouts, John Jefferson, Charlie Joyner, and the great Kelly. That offense was lethal. I would put that offense up with any offense that I've ever seen in NFL history.
But you know what, let me say this.
Talk about the greatest show on turf. Them Chargers were the greatest. To me, were the greatest show on turf. Really,
they were a much more lethal offense, but they didn't. But see, the difference was Marshall Faulk, the running game. See, the Chargers' running game was Chuck Muncie, and he was okay. Marshall Faulk was actually the leader of that team, more than Kurt Warner. Marshall Faulk read defenses like a quarterback. That's why they got him up out of Indianapolis, because he's the one who taught Peyton Manning how to read the defenses. They couldn't have him being the leader of that team because there'd be a mutiny. So they ran him out of there and sent him to St. Louis. Now, Indianapolis ended up getting Edgerrin James, so it's not like they got fleeced, but it was Marshall Faulk who taught Peyton Manning. See, everybody think, he came from the Manning crew and Archie and this, that, and the third. Archie Manning was a very good quarterback who had a terrible offensive line. But listen, Marshall Faulk's mind, and you can ask anybody about that greatest show on turf. Ask Kurt Warner, who was the guy who has showed him how to read against the blitz and how to roll the protection to which side.
See, that's the thing about it. Quarterbacks nowadays, if they don't know how to read defense, they will never be good at offense, period. So, and I don't know what Dak was doing yesterday. It's like to me, he couldn't. I don't know where his mind was or his heart was. Matter of fact, for the whole team, to have a 21-0 deficit that early in the game.
That's why you have people saying the NFL is rigged, man. I mean, I'm just saying.
Yeah,
tell me that didn't look rigged the first half.
Even if it is rigged.
Even
if it is rigged, let me say this to William. The thing about it is that with Dak, and really if you just look at the Cowboys as a whole, they play great against mediocre teams, and then when they play against teams who actually can keep up with them or can surpass them, then they tend to be very mediocre. So when I watched that game yesterday, what I saw was that a Cowboys team, they pretty much came in there, believing all the hype that the media said about them this year, that they can win the Super Bowl, they can win it all, and I think they honestly, I don't think they took Green Bay seriously enough. You know what I'm saying? And also, like I said earlier, that game was the perfect game for the Packers to win because they came in with barely any expectations. Nobody expected them to win that game. Majority of people didn't. And then also on top of that, they got a rookie, not a rookie quarterback, but it's his first full season playing. And they have a lot of young, guys on that team with barely any experience. So, to me, the Packers were playing with house money. They actually were playing more freely. All the pressure was on the Cowboys because, each and every year the media overhypes them, says that it's their year and all of this. So Dallas really had them losing really kind of fit the scenario because they had all the pressure on them and Green Bay had none. If Green Bay would have lost that game, what would we be saying? Would we be trashing Green Bay? No, we'd just be like, you know what? They're a young team. The fact that they came this far was a success for them. And you know what? Maybe they can build up on it next year. That's what we would have said if they would have lost. But the fact that they won, like I said, it just goes to show you that they was playing with house money. They had no pressure on their side of the football.
Well, yeah, see, and like UncleClaude said, house money. And if you notice, sports betting has gotten bigger now. It's easier now to bet on sports. So what makes you think, or anybody think, that the game could have been rigged or whatever? But what I'm saying is, for them to get a 21-0 point lead before that, the first quarter was out like that, made me think, is Dallas too old, or is Dak and them, or did they bet on the game? Seriously. You know, professional players, you're a professional. I don't care if you're young, how long you've been in the league. You always want to win. You always want to win. Nobody wants to come in second. Even in a horse race, you get mad at that horse coming in second. But for Dallas to play the way that they did yesterday, I don't know. I'd fire the whole lot of them. Now, Jerry Jones, he's 80-something years old, so you know what he's going to do. He's going to fire everybody, I bet you. But Dak had nerve enough to say if they fired the coach, he's leaving. Who cares?
Well, go ahead and leave. You
Right.
You're doing
what I'm saying. Go ahead and leave.
Oh,
now, them Texans, people should have really been behind the Texans. And I see the split in the Texas football between the Texans and the Dallas Cowboys. That's because they were America's team. Who cares? The Texans right now are a Texas team. It's not America or anything else. They're playing to the utmost of their. I love that game. I love when the Texans won. I shouted, I jumped up and down, because you got a young black coach, you got a young black quarterback, and they came to play.
And the cool part about that is they don't even have any. The Texans don't even have any like top tier receivers. They don't have number one receivers and stuff. You put a number one receiver on that field with CJ. Like I'm speaking this into existence, but you know it's looking like this may be Stephon Diggs last year in Buffalo with Josh Allen. Hey Stephon, come on down to Houston. Come play with my Texans. Come on down. I love to see CJ throwing the ball to Stephon Diggs. Man, we could definitely use a number one receiver.
You do well. Your number one receiver got hurt. Tank Dell is the number one receiver. When he's
like the big name guy. I mean, like the big name guys. But I get what you're saying. I agree with you. Yeah.
And you're right. A Stephon Diggs, that would be a perfect mentor for a guy like Tank Dell. But yeah, you're absolutely right about that. But shout out to Cam and Mace, because they were definitely right about.
Oh, I love their show, bro. I love their show.
You might have to bring back them cocaine Cowboys. I was just saying, that's the last time. You might have to go down to the Port of Miami and recruit some receivers and some running backs that like a little bit of sugar.
Mace and Cam have the best sports show, man. First of all, Cam is like one of my favorite artists of all time, but like their show, and Cam is just by himself is funny and entertaining as hell. But him and Mace show, their sports show is like entertaining, is funny, and they be spot on with they picks and what they be saying. So, but yeah, then you add the comedy in there of Mace and Cam, and it really makes for a great show, man. I watch this show like all the time. I love this show.
Yeah, you can tell they're really like brothers, and it's beautiful to see how they buried that beef that they had. And I think some of it was manufactured, but a lot of it definitely was genuine, and there was a lot of miscommunication due to who Mace was.
Okay,
bad boy.
Now, do you think? Well, them Steelers haven't played yet, so what are you thinking now, the way the games have been going?
Listen, I went for the Steelers. I'm not gonna second guess my pick, And it's not just me being a Steeler fan.
Well,
I
to
do
be
believe
honest with you, I rode with you on the Steelers too because I want you. Somebody got to win something.
I just think that it set up the run game with the way Najee Harris has been running the football. And Mason Rudolph is not a great quarterback. I'm not naive. But the one thing that Mason Rudolph does as well as anybody is throw the ball down the field. And the Steeler championship formula is run the football well and throw it down the field.
Right.
If you throw it 15 to 20 yards down the field accurately, you can win a lot of championships.
Yeah, that's the thing. Accuracy.
It was Bradshaw to Lynn Swan, Bradshaw to John Stallworth, Big Ben to Hines Ward, Santonio Holmes. Now, Antonio Brown has got all the numbers. I get it. And listen, Antonio Brown is a top 5 all-time receiver, especially in Steelers history. But when you look at the Steelers, they're based on championships. It's like the Yankees. When you base the Yankees, Don Mattingly will never be Mickey Mantle. You understand what I'm saying?
Right.
A-Rod won 1 championship, but he's a steroid king. Reggie Jackson won 2 championships. He's Mr. October. You understand? It is a different animal when it comes to that. And that's where the Steelers are. If Mike Tomlin wins, let's say Mike Tomlin wins a Super Bowl with this crew, he's right with Chuck Noll. Now, Chuck Noll's the greatest coach in Steelers. In fact, in my opinion, he's the greatest coach in NFL history because he built that team from the ground up. When Vince Lombardi got his Packers, Paul Hornung, Bart Starr, and Jim Taylor were already there.
So I got a question. Whoever wins out of your Steelers and the Bills, is that the team who goes to go play Detroit?
I think no, Detroit is in the NFC.
Oh, my bad. I got them confused. My bad.
I think the Steelers would play the Baltimore Ravens. The Ravens don't want to see the Steelers. Remember, we beat the Steelers with, and I'm gonna tell you why. Hold on, I'm not just saying that being a Steeler fan. Yeah. The Steelers already beat the Ravens with Lamar Jackson. Now, I'm not talking about the last game when they won against Huntley. I get that because that was a throwaway game. The Ravens had to keep their guys healthy, so I get that. But remember, the Steelers also beat Lamar Jackson when he was healthy and playing. He beat him. That was a healthy Ravens team. So the Steelers know how, and plus you know how that rivalry is. That might be the best rivalry in all of pro football. That's the bloodiest rivalry right now. And see, that's the thing. Either team can knock out your quarterback in any given game. We've seen it. And you know the Ravens, we do something to those Ravens when they think they can win. I'm just saying. I think the Steelers have the best shot of beating the Ravens of any of these teams because Peppermint Patty is too soft. That team, they drop too many passes. They're not as good. The Ravens are going to beat Kansas City.
Kansas City. I don't know. I watched that Kansas City game. Kind of scared me too. You know.
No, Miami didn't want to play. They were scared. Listen, too soft, and they didn't want to play in that cold weather.
Well, yeah, that cold did have a lot to do with it because I was shivering watching the game myself. But still, like I say, if you're a professional and you've been there, you've done that all your life, a little cold shouldn't have bothered you. I mean, let's face it. Yeah, that ball is hard as a rock. It's hard as a rock, and catching it.
It's hard as a rock for both teams.
Yeah, see, but I don't know. This playoffs is proving very interesting. Now I'm keeping my fingers crossed for the Steelers. I'm keeping my fingers crossed. They're up in Buffalo, and that's another thing too. Home field advantage stuff.
Yeah, but the Steelers are used to playing big games on the road.
Yeah, they're used to playing in the cold weather and all that.
And listen, we have Mike Tomlin at our side. Listen, Tomlin is going to make sure that these guys are ready to play.
I have it. I have it right here in front of me on my phone. It says if the Steelers beat the Bills today, they go to Baltimore to go play Baltimore. But if Buffalo wins today, they have to. Then I think the Texans have to go up to Orchard Park and play against the Bills.
So we know who the Texans are rooting for.
Yeah. So
that Buffalo is the 2 seed. So yeah.
So I got a question. Any chance? Because I think I've seen that Green Bay has to go travel to the Bay.
49ers.
So is any chance Green Bay has
their last hurrah? That's their last hurrah.
Okay.
No.
I'm gonna give the Packers a puncher's chance. Listen,
I will too.
Brock Purdy is not that good a quarterback. Listen, Jordan Love's a better quarterback than Brock Purdy is. Brock Purdy has more talent around it.
Okay, let me ask you this. Stay right there. I'm glad you said that. I'm glad, and which I agree. I think Jordan Love has proven that he's a better quarterback. But who would you take out of Brock Purdy or Dak Prescott? Who would you take? If you had to choose one or the other to be your quarterback. Yeah, if you had to pick one or the other to be a starting quarterback.
I'll choose Purdy because of the upside. Purdy has
no, I'm not. I'm
Dak is on the way down. I would choose
Dak has showed me he has a don't care attitude. He don't care.
No. See, here's the thing about Dak. Dak isn't trash, but I just don't think he's the right fit for the Cowboys. But I will say this about Dak, in all fairness to Dak, he regular season he puts up good numbers, he puts up good stats. But the problem with Dak is he's not one of those quarterbacks. If he anytime the Cowboys and Dak have fell behind early, they're not a team, and he's not a quarterback that can win games from come behind. He's proven that he can't do that. And a lot of times, if you notice, some of Dak's best statistical games have, he's put up a lot of stats in garbage time when the game was already out of hand and it really didn't matter. Right. You know what I'm saying? So that's
yesterday.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's why I don't really. I'd rather have instead of having Dak, who, like I said, put up big numbers in garbage time, and then you'll look and you'll say, well, damn, Dak damn near threw for 500 yards, 400 to 300, 400 yards. But what the tape doesn't tell you, unless you watch the whole game, is that he threw for most of them yards in garbage time when it was already getting their ass whooped. But I would rather have somebody like a CJ Stroud, who he may throw for 260, maybe a little less than 300, but he's gonna throw. He's gonna play a clean game. He's not gonna get very many interceptions, if any at all, and he's gonna play within himself and within the system. He's not going to try to do too much. He's going to let the game come to him. And so I would rather have a quarterback like that versus Dak, who, like I said, yes, at times his numbers do look amazing, but like I said, you got to account for he's putting those numbers up in garbage time, not in the beginning of the game, not in the middle of the game, but at the end of the game when it's already out of hand and it's out of reach. So,
right.
Yeah, but let's be fair too.
Yeah, the defense.
You're comparing apples to oranges.
They already got a big lead, so why not throw the ball and let them catch it?
Dak Prescott was a 4th-round pick. CJ Stroud was a
Yeah, you're right about that. You're right, but yeah, I would take Purdy over Dak. Me personally, I know a lot of people would probably say they wouldn't, but I'm taking Purdy over.
I take Purdy too.
Yeah, I would take Purdy because Purdy has more upside than Dak. Dak is going to be on the downside. Dak is about 30, right?
Yeah, Dak is. Yeah, he probably right at 30. I think I want to say because how long? Wait, how long? Yeah, he's in his 20s. He's in his early 20s. How long is? I forgot. What year was this for Dak in Dallas? Was this 6th year, 5th year, 6th year, 7th year?
I believe 6th. Was it
6 years? Okay.
6th year.
I think Dak has been with him a little over. Well, no, this is 7th. I thought it was his 7th season.
Yeah, I thought it was either his 6th or his 7th. I know he's been there for a minute.
He's about 30, 31 now, Dak Prescott.
Yeah.
And that's still pretty young for
a quarter. That's young. I mean, but you know what got me that one game when he threw that interception and came off the field and threw up his hands and hunched his shoulders like, oh well, that right there showed me, man, you really ain't in you. Now, if you winning, you go okay. And even when you're losing, you're okay with it. So I don't know.
So I'm gonna ask you two gentlemen one more question. I'm gonna hop off and get my day started. So if you're the Chicago Bears with the number 1 pick, which I believe they have the number 1 pick, do you move off of Justin Fields to go after Caleb Williams, or do you just keep Justin Fields and you trade
No,
away your
I
pick for a
build
bunch of?
around Justin. That's where we make our mistakes at sometimes as teams. We get somebody, we pay them all this money, and when they don't perform, perform like they should normally do, then we want to get rid of them. You got
I
to
agree.
build in order to have a good foundation.
I agree with you on that. I agree with you on that part. But where I disagree with you at is that, so if you look at that division, right? Um, Detroit is now a household team in that division. The Packers looking like they're going to be around for a while, especially now that Jordan Love has kind of figured it out and how to run that offense and stuff. So now they're in a division where two other teams are, going to probably be competing, the Packers and the Detroit line, for that division every year going forward. And Chicago's just trying to get out the basement. So, and me personally, I like Justin Fields. He has a lot of promise and upside, but I just don't think he's the right quarterback for that system. Me personally, I would love to see Justin Fields go back home, go play for the Falcons, go play for Atlanta. I think he would be
Well,
dynamic.
I look at really what Chicago has given up within the year before this year. Look who they gave away.
Yeah, they did give a bunch of pieces up to, they did give
a piece of puzzle that had Chicago on a roll, and especially when it came to defense.
I think he'd be a better fit for Atlanta, though, me personally. I think, and then he gets to go back home, play for his hometown. So that's just me. But what you think, you think they should stick with Fields, or you think they should move off and go get Caleb?
I think that they should keep Justin Fields. Let me tell you something. Chicago has never really done anything for Justin Fields. Where's his offensive line? It's a joke. I mean, he's running for his life every game, Justin Fields. And you can tell he does have a lot of upside. I mean, can we get him a left tackle? Can we do that? You have a decent running back. You have receivers now. And first of all, let me tell you something.
What they're looking at, the kid can run. So what? He can run, but if he runs and gets hurt, then what? He's running
for his life because his offensive line is trash.
Yeah.
I mean, you have to block for the man. And here's the thing. I don't want Caleb Williams anywhere near my franchise. I like the LSU quarterback better than Caleb Williams. Hey, Cheryl Burnett, how you doing?
Hey, Cheryl. Good morning.
Get ready for this afternoon, the Steelers?
I can't be honest with you, but the Bears have a history of not being able to get the quarterback right. Like, I think the last time the Bears had a decent quarterback, I probably wasn't even born yet. Like, so, that just goes to show you just how, inept they are at picking quarterbacks.
Yeah, the Bears,
the Bears were built off of defense.
So bad. I think Jay Cutler still has records, don't they?
Yeah, the Bears are kind of, only difference is y'all have won more championships, but the Bears are kind of like the Steelers in the sense that for years they've prided themselves on their defense. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But they've never really had a quarterback. At least with your Steelers, y'all have had Big Ben and a few others. You know what I'm saying? But to go along with the defense, when y'all won those Super Bowls, but Chicago, man, for whatever reason, they do not know how to pick quarterbacks for whatever reason.
Let me tell you something. The Steelers have only had 3 real quarterbacks during the time I've watched them.
Well, that's 3 more than Chicago has ever had.
And
I'm going to tell you the 3.
Chicago has given, when it comes to sports, Chicago has been the biggest floppers it is, even in baseball. When they gave away Lou Brock to the Cardinals, let's face it.
Oh, yeah, y'all paid for that. Y'all paid for that for eons. You're right.
Boy, did we.
I remember that.
If I'm Justin Fields, I'm like, shoot, y'all don't want me. Y'all looking at, okay, hey, look, get me out of here. Send me back home.
I don't think Justin Fields wants to be in Chicago. I'll go one step further. I don't think he wants to be.
But guess what? If I was him, I wouldn't want to be there neither, because that organization, I mean, can we just be honest? That's a very shitty and,
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. I'll admit that my own damn self.
It's a very shitty and
ask Khalil Mack.
Yeah, it's a very shitty and incompetent organization. Then, you in the city of Chicago, one of the biggest cities in America, and you got all that pressure and, for all them years, ain't nobody, being able to do nothing up there. While like if I'm Justin Fields, I don't want all that pressure on me. I want to go somewhere where I can play. I can go be free, So and then what better place to go play and be free than go back home to where I'm from in Atlanta. So
I don't know if you want to say be free in Atlanta in the same breath.
Not in that sense, but yeah, you stupid. Not in that
don't
sense.
send him to Atlanta.
You stupid, man. But not in that sense. Not in that sense.
Sometimes it ain't good to go back home now.
And the reason why I agree with you, William. I think sometimes for certain people it's not good to go play from where you're from and where you're at. But at the same time, I think if he goes back home to Atlanta, I think that Falcons organization and staff will have more patience with him for him to grow into a more viable quarterback. Versus,
but do you think he wants to be sitting on the bench when he's been a starter?
I don't think he'll be on the bench if he goes to Atlanta. I think he'll be able to
beat out Desmond Ritter. He'll start right away.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I don't think he'll definitely start. He'll definitely start. And then look, with him being a hometown kid, they look if they don't start him, they're gonna be booing in Mercedes-Benz Stadium. They're gonna be booing, be like, we want Fields. So I don't know about this.
That coach, they don't start Justin Fields. He has to start. You're not gonna trade Justin Fields to sit behind Desmond Ritter. Come on, you can't do that.
Yeah, and then like I said, him being a hometown kid, that's all the pressure on the organization to play him and store him. So, but like I said, I just think Atlanta would have more patience with him to like how Baltimore has had patience with Lamar, even though they tried to act like they didn't want to keep him, but they ended up keeping him, and now it's paid off dividends. So he just gotta win it. But
they treated Lamar like garbage during these.
Another question for you, UncClaude. Do you think there are going to be some rule changes in the NFL next year? As far as hitting on defense, they're already talking about the crowning of the helmet, but there was a lot of things that went on during that.
Yeah, like they did, like that call that the refs made against Detroit, and they robbed Detroit of that win against the Cowboys. That was a horrible call.
Yeah. That was ridiculous.
And I tell you what,
they made a horrible call in the Dallas game. They called a horse collar that didn't happen. He tackled him right around. That was not a horse collar at all. That was a technical call.
You know what was crazy? Did you when y'all watched the Chiefs game? Did y'all see Pat Mahomes' helmet broke or a piece of it broke? I was like, man, that's crazy.
Yeah, split. And and the crazy thing about it, they didn't have another helmet to fit him.
Yeah, he got a big.
He had to refit his helmet. That's crazy.
Can't stand Pat.
I don't think. Look, out of all my years of watching football, I don't think I've seen people's helmets come off, all kind of other stuff, but I've never seen a helmet crack and like in a big chunk or piece come off like that. I was like, whoa, this is crazy.
Yeah, well, that goes to show you some of them helmets that they make, they do have flaws. It's just like a car. They have flaws in them. But they should have had him a backup helmet, the same type that fitted him. And see, when that helmet did break or crack, it knocked out the, you wasn't able to communicate. And that's another thing I hate. They took that out the game. When they put that in the game, they got these radios, and the coach is calling in the plays. Why not let a quarterback, if he's a good quarterback, he'll know what to call.
Yeah.
Let's be fair, Mr. Carruthers. They have babied the quarterback so much in today's NFL because as well as I do. Remember back in, to a lesser extent in mine, but more in your day, the quarterback always called their own plays.
Yeah,
that's why. Yeah. To me, I have to put Bradshaw ahead of Big Ben Roethlisberger because Bradshaw called his own plays, and that makes all the difference in the world. He didn't have to
have the radio.
An offensive coordinator.
That's what I'm saying. Modern. It's all right to be up to date, try to be modern with the equipment and all this, but when you start putting helmets, radios, and helmets, that's another thing. Then they wonder why crowd noise is. Well, listen, they hear the crowd noise through the doggone helmets.
But if you're a quarterback worth your salt, you should be able to. You should know your team's playbook. You should be able to call your own plays after a certain
Yeah.
amount of time.
So
And
yeah,
the fact that these guys
you don't take away. I mean, the coaches have a job of thinking of what will be the best play design. But I tell you, the best defensive coordinator that there ever was for me was Buddy Ryan. When he came up with that 46 defense, that was he was about the best defensive coordinator that I've seen in a long time.
You know where he came up with that, right? It wasn't with the Bears. That was one of his stops as a defensive coordinator, but he came up with the 46 defense in '68 when he was with the Jets.
Yeah, yeah. And
I
that's
remember
when
that
they had
too.
what? They had Dent, they had Singletary, Dent, and
Oh yeah, that was,
who else was
one of
that?
the best defensive
Oh,
linemen.
Steve McMichaels.
Yeah.
Mm.
Who else was on? Dan Hampton, Otis Wilson. Yeah, that was a stacked defense, no question about it. I know a lot of Chicago guys feel that that's the greatest defense of all time. It's in the top 5. It's not the greatest defense of all time.
Well, yeah, for us it was a breath of fresh air to be winning with that defense.
Yeah, you're right.
You know, 17 sacks. They won the Super Bowl, so what the hell? You know.
Hey, listen, they did what they were supposed to do, and it was a great defense. I'm not going to take away from it. I mean, but let's face it, when the greatest defense won 4 Super Bowls,
who now has a 335-pound defensive tackle now on their team?
Everybody.
I got a question for y'all. I got a question for y'all. If the Chiefs win one more Super Bowl, whether it's this year, which I don't think they'll do it this year, but or anytime soon within the next couple of years, will the Chiefs officially become a dynasty? Because I feel like if you don't have 3 championships, you're not a dynasty. I think you might have had a good run, but I think if they win one more, whether it's this year or in the next couple of years, I think they'll officially become a dynasty. What do y'all think about that?
I think you have to put it back to back in order to be a dynasty. And
it's going to be tough.
If they win it this year,
Super Bowl this year.
They're not winning it this year.
But I already think they're a dynasty. I already do, because the numbers that they put up.
I don't think you have to win back. I don't think you have to win back to back. But I think if you win like let's say like 3 within a span of time, like a short span of time, I think you could become a dynasty like that. So.
Well,
I think they're already a dynasty in their own rights, because looking at
I say you have to win 2 in a row.
From Kansas City, people from Kansas City, they love their Chiefs. Man, they love them.
Yeah.
And to them, they're already a dynasty.
I think Travis Kelce needs to really consider retiring. I just don't think he has it like that anymore. This year,
he's going to retire. He's going to retire. You know why?
This year, he looked super old this year.
He's old. Yeah, that not only that, but I hate to say it, he's going Hollywood.
Yeah.
That's happening. And I can't stand that damn Taylor Swift. And I have to say this: if I have to hear one more comparison, you don't compare where you're not accepted at. You cannot compare Taylor Swift to Michael Jackson. You cannot do that. Michael Jackson is the greatest entertainer of all time. Taylor Swift puts me to sleep every time I see that. Oh,
but here's the thing: they don't just compare. But here's the thing: I totally agree with you. And they don't. But here's the thing: she's not the only person that they compare to MJ. They try to compare Drake, and they even say Drake is better than MJ. I'm like, y'all out y'all fucking mind if you think Drake is better than MJ. Like,
the only thing Drake might be lighter than Mike when because he has vitiligo. That's about it.
That's about
Drake's
it.
Not even, Drake has
people. They didn't think about vitiligo like that. They it was something that was hidden. If a person had vitiligo, they didn't talk about it as much. They wanted to make like Michael was bleaching his skin and doing all this crazy stuff.
No, he had no choice. He was forced.
Yeah. Yeah.
But fellas, I just want to say I enjoyed the conversation with y'all. I'm finna drop down and get my day started, but I appreciate
I
you,
have
Uncle
to go
Claude.
out here also because I have
You
to
know,
look
Yeah,
after.
I'm gonna get ready.
yeah.
Get
So
ready for this
what
3 o'clock
what game
game.
is it? What time is the Steelers game? You said it's 4:30.
4:30.
4:30. Okay,
4:30.
I'll definitely be watching. Is that
Yeah.
the only game on today, or is the
No,
Eagles
there's
playing today?
two.
The
There's
Monday
two.
night game also. The Eagles are playing the Buccaneers as well.
Okay, so who you got in that game? I know who you got with the Steelers. Who you got in that game?
I have the upset special Tampa Bay over Philly. They're going to free fall.
Ooh, that's
You, huh?
That's going to even stick it. See,
No, I forgot. I forgot
wait,
most
wait,
of my
wait, wait,
picks,
wait,
but
wait.
I tell you
Where's the
what.
game at? Is it in Tampa or is it in Philly?
Tampa. It's in Tampa.
Oh, yeah,
Buccaneers. Yeah.
And the thing is, and also, Jalen Hurts can't grip the football.
yeah. And see, that's the thing about that. That's the thing about the wait, is that the AFC South or no NFC South? That's the thing about the NFC South, man. Like the NFC South is like horrible, but if you win your division, you guaranteed at least one home game, even if you got a horrible record. Like so, you know what I'm saying? That's the thing about the NFC South.
Yeah. Well,
But I'll
That's why
catch
the
y'all
Saints
fellas.
should be
I
fine.
said fly, Eagles fly. So
Yeah. Oh, you an Eagles fan? Yeah, man. I
no, I'm
hope y'all
not a
pull it
fan
off.
of the Eagles.
Okay.
I'm not really a fan of the Eagles, but I'm just
Okay.
saying that
Yeah.
somebody I know loves the Eagles, so that's what I put it.
I will
upset,
say this. Baker has had a pretty quiet, decent. He's had a decent season this year. You know what I'm saying?
I don't care who wins, to be quite honest. As long as my Steelers win, I can care less.
Yeah. But would you agree that Baker's had a pretty decent season with Tampa Bay? Like he's played better than what most people probably thought he would play this year with him.
Mm-hmm. Well, I'm going to say fly, Eagles fly.
Yeah, I do
even though
believe
they're
that. I
at
mean, he could
Tampa
play
Bay, and things could go any kind of way. So it was proven yesterday in Dallas.
I know one thing. If the Eagles want to win today, you got to get AJ Brown involved. What are y'all doing with this man? Like he's not a top receiver for no reason. Get that man involved early on. Let him touch the ball. Let him, get some of the momentum going. That way, you can go to him late in the game when you need him. But definitely get AJ Brown involved, man. Y'all wasting that man. At the I can't remember the last time he had a breakout game this season. I think it was maybe week 3, week 4, or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
So man,
the problem
get AJ Brown.
AJ Brown.
That's what I'm saying.
They have to
That's
run
what I'm
the
saying. Get that man involved. Put him in a position so he can help y'all win this game.
They almost have to use him like the way that San Francisco does Deebo Samuel. Give some reverses, have him touch the ball any type of way. I agree with that.
Because I can tell you this: if they come out and they get AJ involved early on in the game, where his presence is heavily felt, that'll open up the rest of the field for everybody else. So Jalen, if you're smart, you go to AJ Brown early on, let him know, like, look, I know we haven't got you on the second half of the season, but I'm coming to you early today, and I need you to set the momentum, and it'll open up everything else for everybody else, and Jalen could play more freely. So, we'll see, but like I said, a pleasure chopping it up with you guys, and I'll catch you on the next one. Nice to meet you, William. Nice to meet you, man.
Nice to meet you too. Have a blessed day and stay warm.
Oh yeah, I'm definitely gonna do that. All right, man. See y'all later.
All right.
Appreciate you,
Uncle Claude. I know you getting ready too. I'm gonna get ready too. Great being up here with you. We finally got to get together and talk football live and stuff. And great show.
Yeah,
great show.
Oh, thank you so much. I really appreciate you both coming on. Thank you, Miss Cheryl Burnett, LaGale Wallace. Thank you once again, Third Ward Columbia. And thank you, the showstopper, Sister J Truth. Thank you all for joining me. Make sure to like, share, and subscribe. Uncle Claude signing out. Take care. Stay safe. God bless. Go Pittsburgh Steelers. And have a great day, everyone.